today's period. So here, today we'll have the revision of carbon and its compounds. So as I corrected your question papers, in most of the papers I found that there were many mistakes in writing the structures, and moreover you are not clear with how to represent compounds. So here, when you will be representing carbon compounds, its valency has to be satisfied. Unless you satisfy its valency, it's difficult to score marks. Many of you were little disturbed when your marks were deducted. So this is for your betterment. Like once if you'll write everything properly, so that is beneficial for you. In your exams, you can get score. You can score more. So you can find like in most of my papers, like in my correction, I deduct marks. Don't feel it to be bad. So I'm deducting marks for you only. Less marks are given here so that you can score more in your exams. If you'll be scoring well in here, well here, and then there you are not getting marks, there is no meaning. So here everything is scheduled in such a way so that if you'll make a single mistake, you're going to lose marks. So carbon and its compound, if you start out, the first question can be like, why carbon make more number of compounds? Why we get more compounds of carbon? So carbon chapter is purely based on carbon and its compounds. So here compounds are made up of carbon and hydrogen. So as in this chapter we get the compounds mostly of carbon and hydrogen, we call it as hydrocarbon. Compounds are made up of carbon and hydrogen, so they called hydrocarbon. Now coming to the first topic of the chapter, why carbon is versatile in nature. Versatile means how it can make many number of compounds. So carbon is making more number of compounds because of the three properties. The first one is small size. Size of carbon is very small. Due to its small size, it can make number of compounds. Now second point, it is tetravalent. Carbon is tetravalent in nature. Due to tetravalency, it makes more number of compounds. Tetravalency, carbon's valency is 4. So this is only the mistake which everyone were making. Most of the students made satisfied. Unless you satisfy its 4 valency, you are not going to get marks. So whenever you will represent any structure based on carbon, you need to represent its 4 valencies. So the first property because of which carbon is versatile in nature is small size. Second one is tetravalent, that is tetravalency. And third property, catenation. So what is catenation? Carbon can form a long chain. So as carbon can get combined with carbon atom to form long chain, we call this to be property of catenation. Carbon is the only compound. Carbon is there, and then phosphorus is there, sulfur is there. These three are the compounds which can, elements which can make a long chain. So they are called catenation character to have. So these are the three characters of the carbon which is making it versatile in nature. Now the next topic of this chapter is, from the table you need to learn about what are the boiling points and melting points of the different compounds. So that's given in the second page. Once you go through with all those, boiling point and melting point, which will help you to give the physical characteristics of ethanol, and then if it is asked ethanoic acid, for properties you need to learn out that table. Even in bit part they can ask about the boiling and melting point. So learn that table very properly. Now coming to the second part of the chapter here, after having this, we are having hydrocarbons. They are of two types. One is called saturated hydrocarbons, saturated, unsaturated. So what are saturated hydrocarbon? So here saturated means when there is single bond between carbon and carbon atom. If there is single bond present between carbon and carbon atom, we call it as saturated hydrocarbon. If there is double or triple bond present between the carbon carbon atom, so you need to write that between carbon and carbon, as bond can be formed only between carbon. Depending on that, they are categorized as saturated or unsaturated. So you need to mention like whether they are having single bond or double bond or triple bond. Depending on single bond, they are called alkanes. ANE is added. If there is double bond, we call them alkene. If triple bond is there, alkyne. Ane, ene, ine. Now, their general formula is also very important, which you need to memorize very perfectly. Like, what is the general formula of alkane? Alkane general formula CnH2n plus 2. So, these are the basic things. If you revise them thoroughly, you're going to get full marks in this chapter. Very limited things you need to read here. No need of like line by line or like each and every corner you need to memorize. No such requirements are there. So why carbon is versatile in nature? Then what are saturated, unsaturated hydrocarbon? Next, their general formulas. Alkane general formula CnH2n plus 2. If it is alkene, CnH2n. If they are alkyne, CnH2n minus 2. Depending on that, you can make different formulas. Like if it is asked, write the formula of hexene. Those who are attending, can you write the formula? Will you send it? Those who are attending, will you write the formula of hexene and send it? May I know who is there? Okay, here it is hexene. Hex means 6. Next, you need to learn about the table. Like depending on the number of carbon, how we can categorize the elements. If suppose one carbon is there, we call them mith. For one carbon, mith. If two are there, ith. If three are there, prop. For four, but. If five are there, pent. Six, hex. Seven, hept. So these many are important which you need to remember. Here it is given hex. So from that we can conclude that 6 carbons are there, as hex stands for 6. So here ene is asked. General formula of ene is CnH2n. So replace n by 6. H2 multiplied by 6. Thus the formula is C6H12. If you know clearly general formula, you can write any formula of the any compound which is being asked. If suppose it is hexyne. In exam this question was there, what is the formula of hexyne? So as it is yne, so it is a triple bond compound. So hexyne general formula is CnH2n minus 2. You are going to replace n by 6 as hex is there. C6, 2 multiplied by 6 minus 2. So it is C6, 6 2s are 12, 12 minus 2 is 10. C6H10 is the correct answer. So in this question, I found many mistakes. So many of you are making mistakes in this. What is the difference between saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbon? So among all I got only one book where there was the difference written based on the chemical property. I think in Ashrita's paper that was there, like saturated hydrocarbon, they do not give bromine water test. So what is bromine water test? Now coming to the difference between saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbon. In exam, how you are going to write? If it is saturated and unsaturated. For saturated carbon, so first point is single bond between carbon and carbon atom. For unsaturated, there is double bond and triple bond between the carbon and carbon atom. Second point, flame test is there. Saturated compounds burn with blue flame. Saturated compounds burn with blue flame. Whereas unsaturated compound, they burn with shooty flame. They give shooty flame. There is black deposition on the utensils if they are unsaturated. Now the third property, bromine water test. Bromine water is brown in color. Saturated compounds, as they are single bond compounds, they do not respond to bromine water test. So here the answer is they do not respond to bromine water test. Whereas unsaturated compound, they decolorize the bromine water. Decolorize, that is the bromine water will become colorless. They decolorize bromine water. So these are the differences which you can remember and try to write these differences. Not simply like they're having single bond, they're having double and triple bond. That's insufficient. You need to write it in an elaborated way clearly. Okay, how many bonds are there and all in sentence formation. Next, after saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbon, we are having functional group and what is homologous series. So functional group. Functional group, if OH is there, we call it as alcohol, where OL is added as suffix. OH, alcohol. See here, when you represent the bond, you need to make the carbon with 4 valency. If OH is there, the single bond representation is sufficient. The next one is CHO. Either write down CHO if you are representing bond, C double bond OH. So here it is incomplete representation. 1, 2, 3. You need to represent one more bond to make the carbon with 4 valency. CHO stands for aldehyde, where we use al. After aldehyde, COOH, carboxylic acid. Where we add the suffix oic acid. This can be represented as double bond O, OH, 3 bonds. So 1 to be represented in the side. Now the difference between aldehyde and ketone. Students often get confused with aldehyde and ketone. When we represent ketone, ketone is also having C double bond O and aldehyde is also having C double bond O. Difference is that in aldehyde, carbon is the last carbon where it is attached with the hydrogen. Whereas in ketone, both the sides, it get attached with carbon. So here, that's the difference between ketone and aldehyde. Ketone, we can represent C double bond O or simply CO. So this is called ketone. For ketone, we add suffix -one. The first one, OH is there for the alcohol, CHO or C double bond OH for aldehyde, COOH for carboxylic acid, C double bond OH we can represent in any way. So better you go for the simple one. This is the simplest one where chances of mistakes are wrong. If you want to represent in this detailed way, 4 valences has to be given. Next, after ketone, for ketone also this representation is the easiest one. Alcohol, aldehyde, carboxylic acid, ketone, now halogen and ester. For halogen, we add X. So here X is replaced. One of the hydrogen is replaced by X. So it is represented by X, where X stands for chlorine, fluorine, bromine or iodine. Next, if suppose it is CH3 COOH, we are going to represent it. Now CH3, okay, CH3Cl. One of the hydrogen is being replaced by chlorine. So this we call halogen derivative, and while naming it, single carbon is there. So we call it as meth. E is replaced by like chloromethane. Chlorine is added. We can write it as chloromethane or methyl chloride. Now next, after halogen, we are having ester, the last derivative of the functional group, where COOR is attached, R and R dash. So what does this mean? R and R dash. R represents any alkyl group and this is acyl group. If suppose R, we can consider it to be CH3 group. CH3, COO, R dash is something other than methyl group. C2H5. If one hydrogen is less, we call it as yl group. Like if one carbon is there, methyl. 2 carbons are there, ethyl. So like that the representation can be given, or we can write this as CH3COOH is acetate group. So ethyl acetate. While giving the name of the functional groups, don't get confused. Try to have the simple representation. Instead of representing the formula, if they're asking for the formula, then only represent it. Otherwise, better write the spelling, learn it properly. Don't make any mistake in spellings also. Now, what are homologous series? So, series of the hydrocarbons which differ by CH2 unit or by mass of 14 AMU. When there is mass difference of 14 unit or CH2 difference, we call it as homologous series. If you recall back in the paper, it was asked, write the homologous series of alkyne. So alkyne general formula, if you know, you can make the homologous series. General formula of alkyne is CnH2n minus 2. If we replace n by 1, 2 ones are 2, minus 2, 0. Such compound is not possible. So here in alkyne and alkene, ene and ine, as we know that there is double bond and triple bond between carbon and carbon. So here the first member is not there. Here they start out with 2 members. So ethene and ethine. No first member is there. The reason is because 2 carbons are needed to make bond. Now next one, the first member will be here, 2 carbon compound, C2, 2 to the 4 minus 2, 2, C2H2. If we replace n by 3, C3, 2 3s are 6, 6 minus 2, 4, C3H4. Like that you can make the other member, C4, 2 4s are 8, 8 minus 2, 6. If we compare them, there is a difference of 1 carbon, 3 minus 2, 1 carbon, 4 minus 2, 2 hydrogen. So what is homologous series? Series of hydrocarbon which differ by CH2 unit or by 14 mass. So how we are getting mass as 14? 12 for carbon and 2 2s are, so you have 1 hydrogen. 2 multiplied by 1. So 12 plus 2, 14 mass. So when there is a difference of mass of 14 or CH2 unit, we call that series as homologous series. So this is the basic things which you should not make mistake and be very clear with that. And moreover, they can ask one more question like, why carbon forms only covalent compounds? So here, if carbon will lose, as the carbon's atomic number is 6, so its configuration is 2 and 4. If it lose its 4 electron, it will become C. 4 electrons are given. Inside the nucleus, there will be 6 protons. Atomic number is number of proton and electrons. So inside the nucleus, there will be 6 protons, whereas only 2 electrons are there outside. So there is lot of difference created. Thus the atom will become unstable. And the same way, if it is accepting 4 electrons, so outside already 4 are there, it will accept 4. So outside there will be 8 electrons, where inside the nucleus 6 protons are there. Again there is instability. Due to instability, atom cannot exist. So there is no possibility of the carbon to either donate or accept electron. It can neither make cation or anion due to instability. So thus it share electrons to form covalent compound. So this can be one more question, how the carbon forms covalent compound. Next, about homologous series and general formula, difference between saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbon. Then next, all the properties you need to read. What are the properties of hydrocarbon and what are the properties of ethanol, properties of ethanoic acid. Then cleaning action of soap. This is the last topic of the chapter. So when I corrected the paper, I found that in around 5 to 6 papers were there where the cleaning action was not given properly. If that question is asked, we should not write it in activity form, like take test tube and then in that test tube add the chemical, add the soap solution and see whether the leather is formed or not. So that's not the correct way. When you are having the cleaning action of soap, means you need to write what happens after applying soap. So yeah, when we apply soap, what is the reaction taking place, that you need to write out. So that answer is also one of the important question. Cleaning action of the soap. Learn that also properly. Esterification, saponification, and addition reaction, that is formation of vegetable ghee from vegetable oil. And name the catalyst which is used in addition reaction. That is also one of the important question which can be asked. Prepare well all these questions so that you can cover this chapter. Okay. Now I'll be winding up this class, as topics are being covered. You need to revise now. So revise thoroughly. Still difficulties are there, message me.